Okay. All right. We're going to be kicking off here just a second, making sure the live stream is going. And you can see my screen and me. Looks good on my side. So let's kick it off. Okay. All right. So imagine if you could have the answer to everything that you wanted to do in commercial real estate, and and all you really needed was one little detail to make it all come together. I believe very strongly that each and every one of you who are watching this today, you have what you need already. You're just missing one thing. And that one thing I'm going to share with you during this presentation. And so you can ultimately build your dream lifestyle, your ideal life using commercial real estate. And we're going to go through the 5 pillars that make it all happen and are required to get there. And the good news is that you already have most of them. All right. So imagine for a moment what it would be like to have a 50 or 100 unit apartment complex that paid you $10,000, $20,000 a month in residual income that completely changed your life, that had enough income that covered your living expenses such that you didn't have to have a job if you didn't want to. Imagine buying a commercial real estate property, holding it for a few years, and then selling it for over $1 million net profit to you and your family. I mean, imagine what that would really feel like in your life, like to just be able to say, put $1 million into your back pocket. Like you just see $1 million on your bank account. You're like, I did that. I believe you can do it. And where I'm going to show you today how that is possible. And I'm going to share with you the techniques to get there. The one thing that you're missing, along with some other resources from other people that would allow you to pull this together and make that a viable thing to do in your life. Is that something you want me to share? Drop in the chat. I know you're there, that you're paying attention, because the more energy I get from you guys, the more I can. It feeds off of the presentation and gets me excited, and I'll lean in even more because I want to see. I want to make a difference in people's lives, and it's great to see. I see people saying yes. Thank you, everybody. It's awesome. All right. So my promise to you today is that I'm going to provide to you the solution to, or the possibility, the technique here to create amazing differences in your life with a couple of key principles and understanding one thing that you're missing. And that one thing you're missing is what you're here to get, and I'm going to share it with you. By the end of this presentation, you're going to have the thing that I'm talking about so that you can go out there and make a difference in your life. So that's my promise to you by the end of this presentation. So if you haven't met me before, my name is Paul David Thompson. I'm the CEO of Real Estate 101. I'm business partners with Peter Conti. He's the founder of the company and the visionary behind the company. Together, I think we have something like 40 plus years of experience. Peter and I have done lots of deals together. We're in the process, we're under contract with a property right now. We own lots of rental property and rental units. We have raised lots of capital, and we've helped lots of people do the same things in their life. And I'm here to pass it forward, pay it forward. I've had a lot of help along the way for me, so we're going to pay it uh, pass along to you guys. Okay. So if you don't know my backstory, I'll share it with you quickly. I was raised by very loving parents. I was the only child, or still am an only child, and I I moved around a lot. My dad was a Baptist preacher, still is. My mom was an Avon lady, and they were absolute salt of the earth people. Took great care of me, but they didn't ever weren't ever people of means. They had purpose and mission in their life, but they were not financially successful, or financially rich by any stretch of the imagination. And as a kid, you don't notice that sort of stuff. You just do what you do, and my parents love me, um, but they did pass on a couple lessons. Don't get in credit card debt, and go to college. And those were two financial lessons that they shared with me, which were impactful. And I went to college. I was good at math and science, and so I got a degree in engineering from the University of Arkansas, and then I got a job in Little Rock, Arkansas, where I still live today. And I remember getting that first job in the year 2000, making $45,000 a year. So that dates me how old I am, and it also is was a reasonable salary for the time, and was, I wouldn't say life changing money, but it definitely put me in a socioeconomic status higher than what my parents were in by probably a rung or two. In fact, I probably made more money during that first year of salary than my parents ever made in their lifetime together in any one year. And so life was different. And I had to kind of accomplish my goal. I had done the thing that I was supposed to do. I worked hard. I went to college. I got a degree, got a job, and now I was facing down the barrel of a 40-year career. And I was actually a little bit depressed by it. I was like, is this really what my life's going to be for 40 years? But I lacked any other meaningful idea. I didn't really know what else I could do. And so I didn't know what else to do, but to kind of settle in and just make the best of it. I thought, well, I'll just work hard, and, save and invest, and maybe in 40 years I'll be able to retire. That's really the way I was looking at it. And so I just settled into work, and I got married. I very happily married. I have wonderful children. I got an MBA program. We got a mortgage. I just you live the typical American life, and I just didn't feel fulfilled by the whole thing. I just didn't feel like I could do. I just didn't know what to do. I just kind of fell into what I was doing. And I had a really big wake up call moment when I was on a beach vacation uh, in the year 2015, 15 years into my career. And I had we always go to the Gulf Shores, Alabama, which is the closest white sandy beach from where we live in Little Rock. It's a 10-hour drive. And it's one of the things that we really love doing, especially when our kids were young. And while we were doing that, had a great time. We got a call from the people who manage the property we're staying in. And they said the people after you have canceled, and we can allow you to stay another week, and we'll even give you a discount. How does that sound? Sounds pretty good. I think I might want to do that. Checked with my wife. She was in for it, kind of excited about it. My kids were really excited about it. My wife was a stay-at-home mom. She didn't have any limitations because her schedule was free. My kids were out of school for summer vacation, so they were free. The only thing we had to work out was my job. And it was kind of nice because I worked for an internet service provider, which is the company that makes technology like this that we're sharing right now possible. So even in 2015, video conferencing and teleconferencing was not a, a surprise. Like, it was not a stretch. And most of the conferences or the calls that I did at my job anyway were remote, like video or phone conferences. And most of my employees were not in the city that I worked in, nor was my boss. So I called my boss and said, "Hey, like, I'll just work from the beach house next week. We have great internet. I'll be able to do my thing. The kids will play on the beach, and then I'll just be back another week." And he said, "Oh, no, 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 no. Like, what are you thinking? Like, we don't do that here. I expect your tail back in the office in Little Rock, 8 a.m. sharp on Monday morning. Click. Oh man. Talking about being pissed and furious and deflated. The words don't even kind of describe it. I was so pissed. And I just didn't know what else to do because like I needed that job and that it was non-negotiable from his point of view. I had to be back at the office on Monday. So we had to decline the offer and go back as planned. And I remember the next Saturday or the Saturday where we were packing up and going home, where we thought we maybe were going to extend, but turns out we're not. Packed up, put all of our stuff into the back of the van, playing Tetris like you do, making sure it's all in there. And I remember getting into the car, still sand everywhere. You can still hear the seagulls in the distance. And I remember looking in my rearview mirror as we were driving away and seeing my kids in the rearview mirror view and resigned to their fate, just kind of slumped over in their car seats. And I felt like I felt so small. I felt so insignificant. I felt like an absolute loser at that moment. And I told my wife, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we're going to do this differently from now on. I'm not going to live like this. I'm not going to ask permission for some jerk boss if I can spend more time with my family or not. I was going to change that dynamic somehow, some way. I didn't know how to yet, but that was the wake up call moment that I needed. I think some of you probably relate to this. You have these moments in your life that you get new information, and man, it just slaps you across the face. And you're like, you're just one decision away from making a huge change in your life. And this was my moment. And so when I went back to work, I felt like this guy. I was just a sorry sucker, miserable at work, slumped over my office chair, just a sad sack of meat. I mean, I was a terrible employee for a while until I got my attitude corrected. But it was the motivation I needed. It was the inspiration I needed to make a difference. And so I went hunting and searching for a new idea of what I could do. I considered a lot of options. And it dawned on me that, you know what, I had thought about doing this real estate thing before. I had been hoping and dreaming and wishing that I could do something different, but never really felt like I had a good idea. I didn't have a Facebook or a Uber or an Airbnb in my life. So that idea didn't exist in me, but it dawned on me, you know what? I have a good idea. I could just rent rental properties. And that's the moment where like, you know what? Hey, maybe I can do this. I can just buy some rental properties and scale up and just kind of ease my way out of the working world into having my own business running rental properties. That way I can control my own time. And I started off with single family because I didn't know anything else. And so I bought some single family. And then after a while, I bought a couple of duplexes and then I bought a sixplex. And then eventually I kind of had the scales removed from my eyes and I realized, oh, you know what? You can actually buy these apartment complexes. Like average people can do that too. And the reason we like commercial at Commercial Real Estate 101 is that it's scalable. It has all the benefits of real estate with scale at the same time. So you get the income, you can build significant wealth with the equity, you get the tax advantages, and you get the opportunity to run a business that can pay for your lifestyle. And so, drop in the chat right now, what is the obstacle that's facing you right now? Like, what's keeping you from going out and buying a 50-unit apartment complex or even a 5-unit apartment complex? Why can't you go out there and make that right now? There's, I'm assuming you haven't yet, or if you have, you're not scaling. You're here for a reason because you're curious about this business. So, what is it that's holding you back? Drop it in the chat so I can make sure and address everybody's obstacle. What is the obstacle in the way? Somebody says money. A lot of people say time. Um, people know the answer. Some people say they need access to deals. Absolutely. The know-how, uh, property management is one of the answers. These are all good answers. These are perfect. Uh, so we have basically come asked this question before from our clients, and we've talked to a lot of people at Real Estate 101, and it usually boils down to some combination of these questions. You lack the time, you don't understand the process, you need deals, you don't know how to find deals, you need help, not sure where to get it, you don't have enough money. It pretty much covers the gambit of most people's challenges. Sometimes they get more specific, but they all can be summarized into these buckets. Okay, well, we have created what I call the five pillars of wealth that address each one of these. And the pillars that are required for any sort of way to build wealth, and this is in real estate or any sort of business, whatever. These are the aspects that are required in order to build wealth. You need time or somebody else's time. Somebody's got to do some work. Somebody needs money. You or somebody else needs money. Somebody needs to know what to do and has the knowledge to know how to pull this off. You need to have access to people who know how to run these businesses. You need the property management. You need the network. You need the people to make it happen. And then you need a value creation vehicle. You need something that you can transact that to create value through. And in the context of real estate, that is the deal itself. So you can look at value there and think like deals or deal flow. So everybody needs a little bit of all of this. The good news in this business is this doesn't all have to be yours. And my argument is that you probably already have all of this, or you have the ability to go get all this. The thing that's keeping you from actually doing it is the knowledge pillar in the middle. If you actually knew what to go do, then you could go pull this stuff off pretty quickly. Grant Cardone was actually on Undercover Billionaire a couple years ago. I think it was around COVID time. And he was dropped in Pueblo, Colorado with $100 and a phone and was given the challenge to build $1 million company in 90 days. And some people have mixed opinions about Grant Cardone. I probably fall in the same category as having a mixed opinion. His performance on that show and his YouTube channel that talks, or the videos on his YouTube channel that talk about his experience are very eye-opening, very inspiring. And he basically had his money and network and deal flow taken away from him, but he did have time and he did have the knowledge. And within 90 days, he was able to build a business that was valued at $5.5 million, if memory serves. So with the knowledge, you guys can go and do this. So let's fill that gap. That's what we're here for. So we know that time is our most precious resource. Once we spend it, we never get it back. And I think it's our mission in life is to learn how to leverage other people's um, time and how to learn how to not fall into the trap of exchanging time for money. You obviously got to start that way when you get started because you don't know anything else. Um, but when you spend your time wisely, you can set yourself into a situation where you don't need to always exchange time for money anymore. That should be our mission in life is to make sure that we can make money while we sleep. So we're not having to spend time to do so. So I would argue most people say when they don't have enough time, like you don't personally have enough time, that you have more time than you give yourself credit for. It's been my experience. I've actually challenged a few people on this, and they say I don't have any time. There's no way. I remember one guy said I don't have enough time to brush my own teeth. Like, wow, that is busy. Okay, um, if you're that busy, then I think you should audit your time and take a snapshot of what you're actually doing with your time. And typically, most any smartphone these days, iPhone or Android, there's a application on there that's tracking your time if you turn it on, and you can just let it audit your time and see how much time you're spending on your phone. And without fail, everybody's spending at least 30 minutes on their phone with wasted time and energy. You're scrolling, you're texting, you're playing video games, you're doing something on your phone that you could spend that time instead doing something more valuable. Would anybody disagree with that argument? That that we have some time in our daily lives by leveraging technology instead of the technology getting in our way. And here's a really cool quote that I heard someone say recently. The time between 5 p.m. and 12 p.m. will shape your future. The way your future life is going to be will be determined on how you invest the flex time in your life, typically after you get off at work at 5 o'clock and before you go to bed. So whatever time that is for you, those hours in there, I'm not saying use all of them. I'm saying just use 30 minutes of them, maybe an hour of them per night, towards something that's going to make a difference in your life. Because if you can't, then you'll never make a difference. Someone says they don't have um she, she says she knows she could create more time, but she doesn't have time for video games. I love it. So really cool story. Uh, John Grisham, probably familiar with him, wrote, I mean, 28 best-selling books at last count. He has sold over 300 million books. Well, he was working as a law clerk or something in Mississippi, and he just went to a case that he found especially interesting, and so he started writing books about this. And his first book, A Time to Kill, he wrote by going into the office at 5 o'clock in the morning and writing until his day began. And he would do that 6 days a week, and that's how he wrote his first manuscript. And he took that to nearly 30 publishers before some kind of very small publisher did a small print run. And then it did really well and it sold more and more. And then the rest is history. And we forget about that someone like that started probably in a similar situation that we're in. And he was just, I mean, he's from originally from Arkansas, like went to law school and was an attorney in Mississippi, and did not come from means at all. And similar to me, or me similar to him, his parents just said you need to go to college, and so he did. And he got a good profession that's marketable, made a little money, and then used his flex time, that extra time in his day, to make a difference in his life. And so I'm suggesting that that time is available to you if it's really important to you. Okay, so that's the time pillar. Now let's go to the money pillar. And most people would say they don't have enough money, especially to go and buy commercial real estate, which most people don't have enough money in their back pocket to go and buy it, to pay for a commercial real estate project, or really any real estate project in cash. And so that's normal. Like, but what's really cool about commercial real estate, or really any kind of real estate, is it's really easy to borrow against a real estate. So you can borrow a good amount of the money, and then you need somebody else's help if you don't have money yourself to make up for the difference of down payments. And so if you don't have money, then you're going to need to spend your time to invest in yourself and provide value to somebody else. So you spend what you have access to. You spend some time gaining some knowledge, and then you deploy your knowledge so that you can provide value to somebody else so that you can end up making money. And so if you don't have money, that's kind of the game you're playing right now. And what's really cool about commercial real estate is it is possible to buy properties with 100% other people's money. It's not even like theoretic. Like we have clients do it frequently. I've done it. Peter's done it. We've all done. The people, the investors in our company have done this. There's no doubt that it's possible. We see it happen all the time. What you lack is the knowledge and know how to do so. So when you're using money to take down a property, what you're doing is you're building this thing called your capital stack. So let's just take a random example of $1 million property and make the numbers nice and round. And you're going to go get a 75% loan to value loan against that property. So somebody is going to lend you, or your partners, $750,000 in debt. The 25% down, or $250,000 in this scenario, is the equity in the property that comes from your own personal cash, a partner's cash, or other investors that you bring in's cash. So you do need money to buy the property. I'm not saying you don't need money. What I'm saying is it doesn't have to be out of your personal check account. And so what you do is you go and find other people who are willing to do the business, and you go and provide value to them, go and find the deal for them, negotiate the deal for them, and in exchange, you can be a part of the business. I'm going to show you an example of that very same thing here in a second. So knowledge, that's why you're here. That's the actual gap I think that you're experiencing right now. You just don't know how to do this. Like you haven't done this for 20 years, so you can't have everything stripped away from you, but have your knowledge and be dropped in Pueblo, Colorado, and make a go of it because you don't know yet. And that's fine because that's the way we all start. I have a theory that, or just a kind of statement that we were all born naked, completely vulnerable, and not knowing the language, and we spend the rest of our life making up for that. So we have this like ignorance tax, or and think of ignorance as like you just don't know yet. It's not that you're stupid. That's not the point. Like I'm ignorant about Spanish culture because I'm not from a Spanish speaking country. I'm ignorant about those things because I don't know. So being ignorant is not wrong. It's not a negative thing. I just don't know the information yet. So your mission is to pay down that ignorance tax by going and learning and applying these things to the business so that you can develop the skill set it needs to provide value to other people. And so everything is learnable. The good news is, especially in commercial real estate, it really isn't that complicated in the scheme of things. The math in the scheme of things is pretty easy. And there's only like the calculation of the debt payment is probably the only thing that's actually complicated math. Everything else is just arithmetic. So what you're going to do is deploy these skills that you're developing through the knowledge that you've learned to go and provide value to somebody else. And so ask yourself, what's keeping you from making offers right now? What's keeping you from finding buyers? What is it that's actually keeping you from raising capital? Um, it's reasonable. You don't know how to yet, but I believe everything can be overcome. Everything is learnable. And with the right knowledge, maybe a little bit of guidance from the right people, you can speed up that process to get to that value creation conversation that we're about to have. Am I not showing slides? Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I was sharing my screen. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. I'm sharing the. Oh, okay. So I think I changed Windows somehow. My bad. Thank you for letting me know. Uh, I was sharing the wrong screen. So yes, these slides are available. There will be a recording, so you'll be able to go through and get the slides if you want to. See, like we all have the knowledge. We're paying ignorance tax, and like you can learn these skills. And sometimes you mess up, and something, and you just got to roll with it. uh, okay, all cool. Thanks for letting me know. Keep rolling, they say. We'll do it. So network is the fourth pillar, and then we'll go to the last one, and then we'll kind of bring this all together into a kind of cohesive point. Okay, so regarding network, this is the thing that I think people use the least that they can get the most value of right away. And I heard someone say before, are you're having trouble raising capital? Well, raising capital is basically a network game. So um, I define your network as all the people that you know, and so we should always be growing that network all the time. And the thing that we forget to do is we forget to share with our network what we're looking for. So there's this saying that we all are probably familiar with that your net worth is equal to your network. Makes sense, right? Well, I would say that your net worth will end up being equal to your network times your ability to solve their problems. Because if you can't provide value, if you can't solve problems, knowing a bunch of people isn't helpful. But if you know a bunch of people and you can help them solve problems, that will create net worth. And Grant Cardone, which I didn't mean to quote him so much, talk about him so much during this presentation, but he has a really cool saying that I'm just going to steal from him. But I'll give him full credit. He has a saying called contacts equals contracts. And the only thing missing is the letter R, which stands for relationships. So it's another way of saying your network equals your net worth. So when you know people, you can go and get contracts, purchase and sale agreements or sales contracts. And so I have an exercise that I would suggest for you guys to do. It's called the Power 100 exercise. And it's all the people in your contact list. So we all have these smartphones now. We have email lists that are in our email. All the people you've emailed or have a text message for or a social media DM for or a phone number for that you could text or call. If they actually know who you are, that's a contact, right? Like a person who really knows you, not just a random person you have their email about. Those are your people you're going to raise money from to begin with. And so I like to put those people into a spreadsheet and create it as like a customer relationship manager. And I like to reach out to them periodically. So just the other day, I texted a friend of mine named Sarah. She lives in Colorado. I know she has young children that she had a couple years ago. I've kind of lost track of her. And so I shot her a text and said, "Hey, how are you and your husband Ray doing? How are the kiddos?" And I mentioned the kiddos' names because I had it in my database. And I said, "How old are they now? I guess they're too early for school. How's it going being a stay-at-home mom with these two little ones that are, I think, now 2 and 3? Does that sound right?" And think about how powerful that is when someone reaches out to you and like genuinely asks about your situation. They remember your circumstances. Those are the kind of people that when I reach out to them and say, "Hey, we have this project coming up soon. We're not raising money for it now, but if we do, would you be interested in hearing more about it? In any interest, I'll let you know about it. What do you think?" That's how you raise money. That casually. You just tell people what you're into. And you don't wait to raise capital until you get a deal. Like in the commercial real estate world, you need to go for it now. You need to dig your well before you're thirsty. So if you're serious about commercial real estate and you're looking for deals, tell all the people that could be investors um, in your project and tell them, "Hey, I'm looking for some commercial projects. When I get one, do you want to hear about it? We might be raising some capital. Don't know for sure yet, but if we are, do you want to hear about it? It might be a way for you to get a return on your capital. Do you have any interest?" That's how you raise capital and let them know what you're about. Now, the kind of the piece de resistance here is the value creation vehicle. In the context of real estate is deals. If you want to have any sort of wealth creation, you must have something to transact through. And in real estate, that's the actual deal that you get under contract and you close on. That's how you create value. And so it could be any number of ways. It could be a value add scenario where you're taking a rundown property and improving the management. It could be a property where you buy it cash value, get it under contract at cash value, then assign your interest for a fee. You could also just be better at the management, buy it for the long term, hold it, manage it well, create wealth that way. So having consistent access to deals is invaluable in this business. And so if you're willing to put in the effort to make the phone calls, to do the marketing, to use your knowledge and develop the skill of finding deals, you will be compensated for it. And there's a variety of ways to compensate. I'm going to actually explain one here in a minute. So if you don't have money, use your time and knowledge to go source a deal. You can use your time, knowledge, and network to help in buyers for someone else's deal. And you can use your network and knowledge to help raise capital for other people's deals. It doesn't take nearly as much time to raise capital if you already have the connections. And so when you spend what you do have access to, so you can go get access to what other people do have, that's how you pull together a commercial real estate deal of size. Of some of this stuff you could do yourself. You could buy a 5, 10 unit apartment complex with just your own resources and just kind of prove yourself that you can do it, or you can go find somebody else and say, I want to help you. Here's what I'll do. What do you need? I'll make offers for you. I'll run around knocking on doors. I'll put out signs. Whatever you need, I'll do it for you. And you look for a reason that you look for a problem that they have, and you offer up the solution to it. So you use what you have access to create value. And Zig Ziglar has a really famous saying that you can have everything in life that you want if you help enough other people get what they want. And so you need to be looking for problems. I think the challenge a lot of people face is they spend too much time looking at or thinking about what they need, and they're looking for to solve their problems. And I need these things. Well, the way you get the things that you need is by helping somebody else get what they need. So if you don't have money, use your time and knowledge and energy and then perhaps network to provide value to them. So, real life example. Right now, I have a 50 plus unit apartment complex under contract in my hometown. The list price of this property was $6.9 million. We have it under contract for 5.6. And a local broker friend of mine brought the deal to me. He's a young fella, has been doing the work. He brings me all kinds of leads. As with most situations, most of them don't pan out, but he's out there doing the hustle. And so when he brought me a deal, I was all too happy to look into it. As a result, now that we've closed on, or once we close on this property, he will get his commission for helping bring the property to me, finding it. In addition, because he's been so helpful, he's going to retain a piece of the general partnership of the company. So he'll have it'll be a small amount, a couple of percent, but he can now say that he is a co-owner of a 54 unit apartment complex, and that's going to build his credibility like crazy. So he'll be able to put on social media, I own this property, because he does. He doesn't own the whole thing 100%. That doesn't matter. He owns a piece of this apartment complex. And I'm all too happy to let him use that as his credibility kit because I want him to be successful. Because I believe helping him be successful will come back around to me in the long run. I'm paying it forward, and it's providing, and I'm basically paying him back for what he did for me because he went and did all the hustle to find this deal. I did not. He brought it to me on a silver platter, said, "Here you go." Now I negotiated it. I got the property down from 6.9 to 5.6, but all of those conversations he facilitated. Like he went and found the people to talk to. I said, "Hey, can you go talk to this person? Go find a property manager. Go do this." And he would go hustle and do the time and effort thing that I don't have time for. And then when it came time to do the really key conversations, then I would jump in. And so I was using my knowledge and I was using his time. And I'm all too happy to pay him for it. So I just basically just told the whole story on that slide. Got excited. Another example is Erin. She's in our commercial dream partner program, and she owns currently 3 mobile home parks, and she has a fourth one under contract. Really cool story. She got it under contract while in her RV with her family on the road. And what's really cool about Erin is when she started with the program, she didn't have any mobile home parks. But what she did have is experience with mobile home parks because she works for a mobile home park management company. So she knows how to manage mobile home parks. She didn't know how to buy them though, but or finance them, but she knew how to manage them, which is incredibly valuable. So she parlayed her knowledge and experience of managing mobile home parks to go and find her own mobile home parks, which are now, I can't remember how many units it is, but it's hundreds of mobile home, 3 mobile home parks with hundreds of units that she now manages with a fourth one on the way. And so I like to say to people, invest in what you know. In her case, she knew mobile home parks. It made perfect sense for her to go mobile home parks. If you're not a mobile home park manager, probably isn't the best thing for you to go into. Um, if you perhaps have worked at a storage facility, maybe you have some insight behind there. Maybe your family owns a storage facility, you have experience there. Maybe you're really good at management. If you can parlay your management experience into offering that to somebody else in exchange for value. So use what you have access to is the theme here. Well, I literally just read that slide to you without seeing it yet. So let's bring us together. What's holding you back? There's a couple of little details that's holding you back, and the knowledge is the thing that's probably keeping you from tying all these ideas together. So, what are your next steps? We have a free commercial investor toolkit that you can scan this QR code. We'll drop the link here for you here as well that you can get onto. It provides you all the details that you need to do, walks you through the process of getting a new deal under contract and taken care of. Really cool resource. It has, I mean, it's pretty incredible how much we have packed into this free giveaway. So definitely get a hold of that if you haven't already. It's a good place to start. The link's in the chat box. Also, we have started a school community. This is a little side project of mine that I'm doing an experiment with. I'm trying to grow our community and have really active members who are asking questions. It's completely for free. You can scan that, join our free school community, talk about commercial real estate. The recordings of this will be posted into this community. So if I messed the slides up, my bad. We'll post the slides and the recording of this so that you can make sense of my mix up with the slides. Yeah, the link's in the chat box. So you can also just scan that with your phone if you want to. You can also apply to our mentorship program called Commercial Dream Partners. You can scan that and see if you can find time with one of our growth advisors to see if this makes sense for you. The idea behind mentorship is that it's intended to speed up your learning gap knowledge. You know, that the information gap that you have, the how do I call it, the ignorance tax that we're all paying for not knowing something. Like you're if you want to make $1 million a year and you're not, you are paying life that $1 million a year for not being able to go and earn $1 million a year. So what you need is somebody to help you pay down that ignorance tax as fast as possible, so you can get to the point to where you are making whatever goals that you want to make. But it's not required. Let me be very clear. You don't need mentorship. You can go figure out everything about this business by yourself. It'll just take you longer. So if you don't have money, you're going to go spend the time and energy to go gain the knowledge. If you do have a little bit of money to invest, then you can jump in front of the line. You can like pay for the fast track. That's the distinction. So I'll open it up to questions now. You can drop them in the chat box, and I'll have about 15 minutes here that I'll answer questions about anything related to commercial real estate, the presentation, or just really any questions that you have. One of the questions was, did you mess up your slides? Yes, I did. I'm sorry about that. Too funny. I just really wanted you guys to see my story is what it boiled down to. All right. Any questions? Okay, great. If you want to drop into talk to one of our growth advisors, you can scan that code. You can talk to one of our folks. That's great, Anton. If you're not already in the school community, go and drop in the school community. If you have a question about the mentorship program, you can drop me a note inside the school community, and I'll get you directed to the right place when it's time. Somebody asked, what do you do when you're incredibly busy, like you're a professional, like this person's, a high paid professional. So you don't have really any time, like very limited time because you're so busy, like, family, kids, and that sort of thing. In that case, you're probably making a pretty good income. And so what you do there is you become a passive investor. And a passive investor is when you take your extra available income that you're earning and you deploy that capital because you don't have time and knowledge. You don't have time to go learn the knowledge or to find deals, but you do have a little bit extra capital. So you save your capital up and you deploy your capital. And this is really what we're all trying to get to anyway. It's like you want your money to pay for your lifestyle, not your time. So when your money is working as hard for you as you are for yourself, then that's the definition of of being retired. Is you're making enough income from the cash that you have invested, and it's paying you back a dividend that covers your lifestyle. That's financial freedom. Someone said, "I want more." More of what? Well, I'll give it to you. Yeah, Anton, if, best way to get on the phone with somebody is to grab the commercial deal partner link. It's unlikely that I'll be giving you a call. Um, I've got a busy schedule, as you can imagine. So the best way to engage with us is to find us, use these links that we're giving to you. It's the best way to engage. Thanks for being here. Any last questions? I have 10 minutes left. I'll answer any questions about the presentation, about commercial real estate, the mechanics of it. I guess I could go back through and kind of showcase the slides again. So the ones that you didn't see. I think the John Grisham scenario is very inspiring. We do have deals. So if someone asks, do you have access to deals? The question is, do you want access to buy for yourself, or do you want to invest capital as a passive investor or to partner? Do you want to buy it and be the lead sponsor, or do you want to buy it and let somebody else be the lead sponsor and you're the investor? Either one is fine. I'm just curious. Mm. So if anybody wants more information, instead of us emailing you, the best thing you can do is to reach out to us and ask the specific question that you have. Um, where can we get deal info? Okay. So to to have access to deals, you typically want to be a part of a network of some type where people are serving up deals. So in the commercial Dream Partners program, we have a network of people who have gone through our certification and our coaching, and we know they know how to manage deals, right? We've given them the information to be able to manage deals. And so they can buy deals. And so if you have a deal under contract, you can present that to the commercial Dream Partners program, and they can decide on their own, do their own due diligence. If it's a good deal or not, they might invest. And that does happen quite a bit. And so if you want to invest in a deal, um, then the best way to do that is to fill out. Well, we have a form that we can send to everybody that attended this meeting, and we basically do a little survey. Like, do you have money to deploy? Are you a accredited investor or not? And that helps us decide kind of what situation is best for you. And then if you're in a place where you can make an investment, then you can get on a call with us and talk about your investment options. Because I have a fund that I promote. It's for accredited investors only. Um, or we do have deals that me and Peter invest in occasionally. And sometimes those are 5 or 6 Bs, sometimes they're 5 or 6 Cs, meaning they can be open to the public or they can be for accredited investors only. So it depends. And so we do have deals coming in the pipeline. Yeah, sure do. Do we assist with funding lenders? So we teach you how to go and get funding, but we don't fund it ourselves. That's a good question. And we're not a lender. We can work with non-accredited investors. Actually, I will pull a link for you guys. real quickly. This is the kind of like in the investor introduction. So here we go. So this is an investor introduction. This is for people who have capital to deploy, and you'll want to see if it makes sense to do invest in one of our syndications or into our fund, which is for accredited investors. So it's a good place to start. Yes, and someone asked us if I have commercial real estate lenders that we work with, and absolutely, we have a big network of lenders that we've used ourselves, our clients have used. So it's a great place to um, and if you're in the school community, you can ask the school community, hey, who has a lender in this area or this type of lender? And that's what the community's for, and that is free to crowdsource. Like we're helping you build the network by creating the community for you guys to go ask these questions. So that's why I encourage you to go to the school community. Okay, 5 more minutes. If anybody has any questions, or what questions do you have? Okay, someone says I want to underwrite deals. Mm, find deals that are in trouble, value add, and we know that you know how to turn them around. Yeah. Mary just needs some deals to dig into to do her management magic. So someone asked, well, what's the minimum buy-in if you're in a um, I'm not sure exactly the context of if it's the fund. Well, I'll just tell you, I have a fund that's for accredited investors, and that the buy-in for that is 100,000. A buy-in for syndication depends on the deal, and depending on what sponsor you work with and what deal you work with, it can range anywhere from as I've seen as low as 20, but it's more typically more like 50 to $100,000 is the minimum buy-in for a syndication. The idea behind the whole syndication approach is that you don't the SEC and the government doesn't want sponsors like us or anybody or me or anybody else taking someone's last $20,000 to invest in a deal and then it might go back. Even if we mean well, like something could go not go to plan and the investor could lose their money. And we're not trying to have someone invest their last $20,000 and they can't afford to lose the money, basically. And if you're in that situation, that's fine. We all started that way. You probably you don't have the capital to invest, so you have the time and energy to invest. And you can go develop those skills and find somebody. So one way to get good at doing this is to raising capital is to help other people raise capital. Join their sponsor team and do something, in the group for them, and take the investor calls, learn that in the game. Basically, it's a sales job effectively, but a lot of those sales calls are done in the evening time because that's when other people are available as well. That's a really good way to learn the business. That's the way, in fact, that's the way I was able to raise a bunch of capital. Is I just raised capital for other people's deals in exchange for, I was able to be on the sponsor team and help run the investor relations, and I would do some of the management. I provide material benefit to the company over and above just raising capital, but I also help raise capital. Yeah, that's right. We do analyze deals in the commercial deal dream partner program. Okay, a couple more minutes. I'll ask any more questions that you might have. Glad you are all here. I'll just run through the slides real quick so I can show off all the work that the team did on these pretty slides that I didn't show you. Oh gosh. The cost of the mentorship depends on the level you invest in and your situation. So the best thing to do is to get on a call with our growth advisor program, and they'll tailor an answer for your situation. How do we join the deal analysis calls? Join the commercial dream partners program. That does take quite a bit of time to go through people's deals, and so that's the mentorship part of this. Um, Pretty much everything else we make available through school or through some of our lower cost programs. Um, it's the time and energy with me and Peter in group coaching is what you're paying for the and access to the other commercial dream partners. So you're basically paying for the network, you're paying for expertise. Mm, Good questions though. Do you assist in analyzing deals? Yes. Yes. That's what we spend most of our time on with Dream Partners is showing them how to make offers, how to find deals, and we spend the majority of the time analyzing deals and deciding how to negotiate this one and how to do that. We do that a lot. That is, I would say, gosh, 70% of our time on calls is analyzing deals. Because we have a lot of course material that gets you through like the mindset stuff and like gives you the mechanics of how to go do it. But then you go and like do your homework and come back with a deal, and you're like, okay, I need help with this deal right now. Like I'm negotiating this clause and they don't like this, and that's the back and forth mentorship that's so valuable. So why don't we drop those links again? Okay, you can get the free launch toolkit here. Grab that link. Or, okay, I know it's fast. Pull out your phone and grab this QR code for the launch toolkit if you want. And in about 5 seconds, I'll switch over to grab the school QR code. And then we'll actually drop those links in here right now. And we'll call it a day. Okay, there's the school community, which is free. Come join us, introduce yourself. And then there's the mentorship for the Commercial Dream Partners program. And then I'll put in if you're looking for a project to invest in, mm, then you can there. Okay. I will answer one more question if you drop one, or if not, I'll call it in about 2 minutes. I'll give you a chance to write one more question, and then we will adjourn. Thanks for your attention. And I know you spent some time here, and I tried to drop as much value as I could. And I'll stop the share. Oops. Maybe I already did. Here we go. Stop share. You're welcome. Yes, we do have projects all over the U.S. We have dream partners and all over the country. We have dream partners that are even international that invest in the U.S. So if you're a part of the Dream Partners program, you can invest in our projects, um, or you can invest in our fund, no matter what. If you're an accredited investor, you can invest in the fund that I run. Uh, yeah. And so the way it works with projects is like we don't have 10 projects to invest in at any given time. We typically have one project to invest in at a time. Um, mm, Good question. Someone said if we can save the chat. I don't know if we can do that. Um, I'll have to check into that. I'll get our tech people to look at that because I don't know. Um, do you want the links? Is that why you're asking? If that's the case, then we'll just email everybody the links. Yeah, we'll email everybody the links and the presentation and the recording actually. So. Or you can just join the school community and ask us there, and because we're there all the time. The best way to interact with us and stay active and get resources is through the school community. Someone said, "Do you register for the DKO school? Do you register?" Yeah, I mean it's free to set up a school account. Um, so yeah, It's here. I mean, I'll just go to the link myself. Um, so school, oh, here, school. I'll share my screen in a second. Let me get to the right place. So, oops. So this is the school community. Boom. Share screen. Share the correct screen. Yeah. So when you go to the link, it should go directly to this page. And if you're not a member, then you can join. Sweet. Okay. They said they found it. Great. All right. I'm gonna call that a wrap. Thank you. That's what I was inquiring about with the link in chat. Perfect. Yeah. You should be good to go. Glad you're here. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you in the school community. Take care.